Well, that was a good show. Very good show tonight. Very good show tonight. Name my topic. I'm the Godfather Soldier, so name my topic tonight is called Gritty and Grateful from Greensboro, North Carolina. Was Blood and Guts tonight worth watching? So much I had to say tonight. Before I do an up show, a little bit of music. Open up show with Phil Collins' number one hit single from 1985, Studio. Stick around right back and get the music playing right back in the video. The song. Yep, Susudio. You just heard by one of my favorite musicians, Phil Collins. Susudio. Very good song. Let's get down to business. Oh, get this. Right. I got some breaking news already. Okay, MLSE, Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, new partnership with WWE doesn't prevent AEW or any other events in their venues. Yeah, TSN's Steve Argentaro took to social noting that he will seriously ask if MLSE's new partnership with WWE will prevent AEW from running events in the MLSE owned venues. Argentaro said he was told by MLSE spokesperson the new agreement will not prevent other events from taking place in their venues. AEW has also held prevents in previous events in MLSE owned venues in Toronto, the Scotiabank Arena, and Coca-Cola Coliseum with the all-out pay-per-view at the Scotiabank Arena back in September 20th of this year. WWE and MLSE announced a long-term strategic partnership on Wednesday that includes exclusive merchandise collaborations, original content development, community-focused programs, and regular cross-brand appearances from team players and WWE superstars. Yeah, let's get down to business with tonight's good show. 2.5-hour special. Commentary hypes up the lineup for tonight's edition of Dynamite, revealing that we kick things off with the first ever women's blood and guts match. We head to ringside as Justin Roberts goes over the rules for the match, as a special cage lowers over the double ring setup. With that, the first participant for this match comes out as Sky Blue makes her entrance. Out next is Will Nightingale as we get the things underway. WWE. Sorry. What am I saying? Women's Blood and Guts match. Mercedes Moné, Megan Ewing, Marina Shafir, and the Triangle of Madness versus Chris Statlander, Toni Storm, Willow Nightingale, Marina Shafir, and Jamie Hyder and Harley Cameron. Blue and Willow stare each other down in separate rings, each gathering a weapon before going at it. That leads to them exchanging strikes. Willow has the upper hand. She extends Sky into the corner for some forearm strikes, pulling her by the hair to the mat. The action spills to the outer ring where Sky starts slamming Nightingale against the cage. Willow Nightingale fights back to bring it back to the ring back to the ring itself. It doesn't take long for Sky to go right back out for Willow Nightingale. For Willow sends Sky face first into the side of the cage. She keeps track of on the attack, proposing on turnbuckle to a nice pop from the crowd. Willow stays on the attack with some more strikes, sending Blue into the ring to inflict some more pain. Sky has been busted wide open from the cage to the face. It's not getting any better as Will brings her to the corner. Sky fights off a suplex attempt as the countdown brings out the next participant, Julia Hart. She makes a beeline for the ring, making the save before she and Sky drop Willow with a double powerbomb that sends powerbomb. Hart sends Nightingale to the corner, slamming her face against the turnbuckle before going old school to drop Willow to the mat. Willow manages to escape to another ring as Sky and Hart look for something inside the turnbuckle pads. It's unclear where they found what they are looking for. instead going back after Willow as the countdown rings out the next participant, Harley Cameron. She comes out with a chair, going right after Sky upon entering the cage, and then laying out Julia Hart. She escapes with a double suplex attempt, allowing Willow to take out the Sisters of Sin. She and Harley set up Julia in a tree of woe with a steel chair twist. Harley gets the assist for a dropkick on Hart before Willow follows suit for a cannonball on Sky as we go to an ad break on HBO Max. Full ad break on HBO Max. Back from break, Willow drops Julia with a pounce as the countdown brings out the next participant, with Thekla heading down to round out the Triangle of Madness. Sorry. She fends off Harley and Willow with the help of Bit from her belt, allowing the Triangle to take control, sending to the Babes of Wrath. The countdown brings out the next participant as Jamie Hayter makes a beeline for the ring. Using a trash can lens, she fends off the Triangle before using the barbed wire candlestick. Sky Bright out here for some more damage. Thekla goes after the former women's world champion, who sends out the toxic spider onto a pile of thumbtacks for good measure as the countdown brings out our next participant, in Megan Bang, with Formel's before right alongside her. Bang lays out Hayter before going after Willow and Harley, landing splashes on both of them in the corner. Double suplex connects, sending the Babes of Wrath to the canals before Hayter intervenes to exchange strikes with the Megasis. Bang drops Jamie not once but twice before Cameron attacks her with a trash can lid to no avail. Bang lands on a scoop slam, sending Harley onto the lid as the countdown brings out the next participant, as Chris Statlander runs down with a pull cue to even the numbers. Bang stands up to her only to be dropped to the mat before landing an attack from the turnbuckle. At ringside, we see Queen Amina keeping Penelope Ford from getting involved. Back in the ring, we see a moment between Willow and Statlander, as interrupted by Bang. The reigning women's world champion goes at it with Bang. The two women exchanging strikes as we go to another ad break. Full ad break on HBO Max. Back from break, Harley and Megan can be seen fighting out on the side of the cage before Cameron sends the Megasis down and lands on a crossbody on three women, sending them to the mat. Countdown brings out the next participant as Mercedes Moné has her belt collection on display, casually making her way to the cage. She goes after Nightingale first, sending her to the corner before going after Statlander, who turns things around before looking for another tombstone onto her title belt. Mercedes counters out, landing a head scissors takedown instead that sends Stat to the mat. She leaves the cage, bringing some of her title belts from ringside into the cage and handing them to her teammates. They go to work on their foes, landing some hard shots on each woman. As the countdown brings out our next participant, with Marina Shikara coming out with a wielding barbed wire bat. She tosses it toward Megan Bang, distracting her for a dropkick to turn things around for her team. Renee fights her off as the countdown gives us our final participant for the baddies in this match, Marie Shafir, heading through through the crowd. Bags quickly spills outside to the cage as Maria pulls out the bed of nails from near ringside before Chris Stanley to go after her, which turns ugly when quick when Shafir sends the champ into the bed of nails when ref checks on Statlander to go on the cat standing as a countdown gives us our final participant on Timeless Tony Storm. Blood and guts, the match beyond, if you will, officially begins. Storm attacks anyone she can with a power necklace as Willow sends Hart to the corner. In the other ring, Shafir goes on the offense as Storm tapes her hands and dips them in a pail of glass, Taipei deathmatch style. She fends off Bang and Shafir before embracing Mina, and as the pair go after their future tag tournament opponents. Across the way, we see Babes and Raph going to work as their squad is in control. As we go to another ad break. Full ad break on HBO Max. Come back from the break to see Hater and Sky fighting it out on the side of the cage before Hater sends Blue through the table. Well, sorta. The table doesn't fully break upon impact as we see Julian Thika get speared by Nightingale. Mina lands on a DDT on Bang, sending her to the canvas as well before Shafir lays out Mina, only to be dropped by Storm, who takes a kiss and a moneymaker by Mercedes Monet. She turns around to see Harley Cameron with Minnie Monet ripping the puppet off to reveal a set of breast knuckles, which goes right to her head as Harley drops her to the mat. In the midst of chaos, we see Thika and Hart sneak out to the cage through a truss, with Hart demanding the key to the cage from one of the officials, who gets dropped by Thika, only allowing Hart to grab the key. They unlock the door and the chaos spills as we see Hater, Harley, and Mina stepping out. Harley and Hater get dropped to the floor before Statlander intervenes as she goes after Monet, who is climbing up to the steel cage. Stat traps her future challenger's leg in truss before setting her up on her shoulders as we send Ultimo Monet through her championship table with a Samoan drop. Back in the cage, we see Storm going after Shafir with a shoe before dumping out a pail of glass, with Shafir being sent into a pile by way of a DET from Storm and Mina. Storm grabs a mirror, propping it against Shafir for a hip attack, but Shafir throws the mirror at the face of Storm instead. Whether that means 7 years of bad luck remains to be seen, as she is fended off by Mina. Yeah, 7 years of bad luck. I'm throwing that song by Stevie Wonder's Barry Superstition. Superstition. 7 years of bad luck. Just kidding. Yeah, 7 years of bad luck remains to be seen as she is fended off by Mina, who turns her attention to Megan Bang with a barbed wire bat. using it for damage on figure 4 leg lock in Flair country. Woo! Shafir breaks the submission by stepping on a glass nearby and stopping her head and referring to Charlotte Flair and her father Ric Flair. Nearby and stopping the head of Shirakawa. The baddies gang up on Mina while holding Storm down, demanding she can surrender for the sake of her lover. And Timeless Tony Storm, one does that just to bring the match to an end. Winners via surrender, Mercedes Moné, Megan Bang, Marina Shafir, and the Triangle of Madness. Shafir music starts to play as the baddies continue to gang up on Mina after the match before the ref intervenes. Marina's music breaks back up as commentary talks about what went down. With that, we move to a video package hyping up the Falls Count Anywhere match between Hangman Page. Powerhouse Hobbs coming up next. And we go to commercial break. We head to the parking lot where the Don Callis family has gone after the Jurassic Express. The Young Bucks and Okada step out as Josh talks about the message sent. You don't mess with family. Don Callis talks about the Bucks hopefully declaring to join their group before the family walks off. With that, we head backstage. We head to the back to see ringside as Hangman Page makes his way out for our next match. Powerhouse Hobbs makes his entrance next as the heading down to the ramp and walking through the double ring to set up before stepping in the same ring as Page with the ring signing off to get the non-BANG match underway. Falls Count Anyway, Hangman Page versus Powerhouse Hobbs. The two slug it out, trading strikes before Hobbs goes for a slam on the champ on the turnbuckle exposed early on, but to no avail. Page fights off the Powerhouse Hobbs before handing a lariat off the ropes, sending Hobbs to the other ring. Page lands on another lariat off the ropes before climbing to the turnbuckle, but the Powerhouse dodges him the third time around, landing a lariat of his own to send the champ to the mat. Marina Shafir, hold on a second. Did I read it? Yeah. We head to the parking lot. We see Don Callis trying to go after Jurassic Express, the Young Bucks and Okada. I'm trying to see if I read. Yeah, I think I read. Did I see? Yeah, the Shafir's music starts to play as the baddies continue to gang up on Mina after the match. Before the ref intervenes, Marina's music starts back up as commentary talks about what went down. With that, we move to a video package hyping up the Falls Count Anywhere match between Hangman and Page. Powerhouse Hobbs coming up next. Commercial break. We head to the parking lot where we see Don Callis' family has gone after Jurassic Express. The Young Bucks and Okada step out as Josh talks about the message sent. You don't mess with family. Don Callis talks about the Bucks hopefully deciding to join their group before family walks off. With that, we head back to ringside as Hangman and Page makes his way out for our next match. Powerhouse Hobbs makes his entrance next, heading down the ramp and walking around the ring, double ring set up before stepping in the same ring as Page, with the ring sounding off to get the only non-BG match underway. Yeah, I think I did set this in there. Sorry. Oh, I think I messed up. Falls Count Anywhere match, Hangman and Page versus Powerhouse Hobbs. The two slug it out, trading strikes before Hobbs goes for a slam on the champ on a turnbuckle exposed early on. To no avail, Page fights off the Powerhouse for landing a lariat off the ropes, sending Hobbs to the other ring. Page lands on another lariat off the ropes for climbing to the turnbuckle, but Powerhouse dodges him the third time around, landing a lariat of his own, sending the champ to the mat. The fight spills to the outside as Hobbs sends the champ into the barricade for sending him to the back into the ring, but this proves costly as Page gets the drop on Hobbs while he's mouthing off to the crowd. Hobbs is quickly to turn things around as he sends Page into the ring post and then into the barricade. He pulls the steps away from the ring apron, popping the champ against them before charging toward him. But Hangman dodges, forcing Hobbs to collide against the steps instead. Page jumps off the steps only to be grabbed by the Powerhouse, who slams him against the apron and into the announce table, telling Siobhan that this is his fault. He continues the damage, slamming Page once more as we go to an ad break. Full ad break on HBO Max. Back from the break, Hobbs sends Page down with a Powerhouse slam for a 2 count. He sends Hangman and Page through the ropes to the outside before bringing the champ to the announce table. He nearly loses his footing as he sets up for a powerbomb. This gives Hangman an opening to send the Powerhouse to the floor with a backdrive drop instead. Hobbs gets on a chair and to the barricade as Page charges at him, leading the two to slugging after the crowd. Page lands on some shots on Hobbs before accepting a drink from a fan, followed by a moonsault sending Hobbs down hard. Powerhouse Hobbs lands landing Powerhouse back on his feet already, but Page catches him with a flying lariat. Hobbs evades a dead-eye attempt, but takes a trash bin to the face instead for responding in kind with a spinebuster sending Page through the table. Covered by a Powerhouse, but he only gets a 2 as the champ kicks out. Hobbs brings Page up to the stairs, eventually looking for the most dangerous slam, but Hangman fights out of it, landing some shots of his own on Hobbs instead. Hobbs is in a spot free here, standing on a railing as Page walks up the steps for a running start. He takes off his belt and lands a shot on the Powerhouse that sends him through the electric table. You get a small explosion as the lights flicker through the arena as Page heads down for cover, picking up the win. Winner via pinfall, Hangman and Page. There's a little time for a celebration as Hangman and Page is blindsided by Katsuyori Shibata. Samoa Joe is here as well, with the Yops going after the Page before Joe calls for the cage to be lowered down. Someone on the production team is apparently afraid of the former champ as the cage is lowered, but not before Eddie Kingston and Hook come down to make the save. The Yops retreat onto the ramp as Page gets a microphone telling Joe if you want to get Hangman in the cage, He could have just asked. Page, he tells Joe to leave Shabbat and Hobbs at home because the AEW World Championship match at Full Gear. We see Page and Joe go at it in a steel cage. The crowd pops crazy for this as we go to commercial, while Joe shows his frustration about the news. Go to commercial break. We head to the ringside as Tony Schiavone thanks the fans in Greensboro for their support, hyping up the rich history city has had in pro wrestling. He introduced Ricky Dragon Steamboat to a nice pop from the crowd. He shakes his hands and gives high fives on his way to the ring as Tony talks about Steamboat's history in the city. He thanks Steamboat thanks TBS for airing this show before pointing out a fan about the Mount Rushmore of Greenboro consisting of Steamboat and Flair, Dusty Rhodes, and Sting. He talks about his history with the city and at the business, but it gets cut off by the rival FTR and Big Stoke. This gives a Dragon a much chance to share a story about Dark Hardwood and how much this talent he has before Stoke interrupts to introduce himself amidst the boos. He compares himself to Denzel Washington before saying Steamboat is synonymous with wrestling history in this building. Stoke makes the sell hard for FTR challenging for the tag titles at Full Gear, asking about having one of the greats sitting on the front row before asking if he has Macho Man's number. Cash cuts this off to talk about Steamboat some more, acknowledging that he picked up FTR to work his final pro wrestling match years ago. Dax joins in and talk about Steamboat being his trainer for 13 years ago, calling that a blessing. He's learned so much from Ricky to struggle thinking of something. He notes there's one more thing he did learn, but Steamboat interrupts, saying that he never taught him that his attitude has gone to the toilet. The one thing Dax had learned when he was Steamboat said he never said however much he make to save money. If Steamboat and Flair had taken their advice, they would have be here tonight. Who would have thought they would be in 2012 that FTR would be a bigger name than Steamboat could ever be. This leads to a stare down between Dex Harwood and Steamboat. The crowd is chanting the latter's name. Dex tells Steamboat to get out of his ring. Wheeler holds the ropes for the Dragon, but he grabs a microphone to respond. He talks about distraction being the better part of valor, acknowledging that his age before saying he will be the bigger man today. He starts to leave the ring, but is pulled back by Cash, and his FTR look to attack the Dragon. But out comes Brodeo to make the save. Dax gets sent into the corner as Brodeo hits a 221 plex on Wheeler before Brody sends him out of the ring. Sting gets some shots on in a Hardwood before Stoke pulls him out of the ring. FTR regroup on the ramp as Steamboat and Bandito stand tall before we go to commercial. Then we go to commercial break. There's been enough talk. It's time for our main event. Back at ringside, Darby Allin makes his entrance as the first participant in the Blood and Guts match. Out next is Wheeler making his way through the crowd to get into the cage as we get things underway. Men's Blood and Guts match. Death Riders John Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, Daniel Garcia, and Pac versus Darby Allin, Mark Briscoe, and Orange Cassidy, Roger Strong, and Kyle O'Reilly. Yuta is soaking in the hate from the crowd, even leaving the cage to to play to them some more, and this leads to a drop kick from Darby, sending him into the barricade. Until he continues to the attack until Will Ewer turns it around, sending Darby into the side of the cage. He finally heads back into the steel cage, cutting Darby off at the door by kicking into the former TNT champion. He brings Darby back into the cage, calling for the door to be closed so he can inflict some more damage on Allen. He sets up Darby against the ropes for some chops, but Darby answers with a DDT off the ropes. Yuta heads to the other ring, going for the stake board Darby brought, but Darby stops him, driving to the tacks on the bottom of it onto his face. The crowd chants "You deserve it" at Yuta, who enters by attacking Darby as the countdown brings out our next participant, Orange Cassidy. Usually walking down to the ramp with his backpack is old Cassidy, who takes off his t-shirt as to enter the cage while putting on his elbow pad. He also breaks his own sunglasses, making a weapon to attack the face of Will Yuta. With. Darby charges at Yuta in the corner while Cassidy pulls out a chain from the backpack for a shot to the head. This is followed by Darby Allin climbing to the turnbuckle, with a skateboard, dropping the text onto Yuta. Cassidy forgets what this match entails as he covers Wheeler for own to be reminded there are no pinfalls here. While the countdown brings out Daniel Garcia as our participant for the match. Garcia's arrival challenges things in favor of the Death Riders, beating down Cassidy and Darby before using the chain to take control as we head to an ad break. Full ad break on HBO Max. Back from break, Darby and Cassidy turn things around as the countdown brings out Mark Briscoe, or maybe not, brother, because of the former Ring of Honor champion is nowhere to be seen. This allows the Death Riders to turn the tide on, and as we go to an ad break, go to backstage to see Briscoe has been attacked. Kyle O'Reilly and Roger Strong to come to check to see him, with the latter offering to go out next as he heads down to the ring. He enters the ring to fend off the Death Riders, getting his squad back in the control as the countdown brings out Claudio Castagnoli next. He makes a beeline for the cage, sending Darby around with a giant swing, even with the Cassidy on his back. He sends Darby to the other ring where Garcia goes to work on him for a surfboard, for sending him into an uppercut by Castagnoli. The beatdown continues as the countdown gives Kyle O'Reilly as our next participant for the non-Death Riders squad. He goes after Claudio, leading the Paragon to getting the upper hand, as in the other rings we see Yuta and Garcia going after Cassidy with a chair. Sean comes over but gets kept away by Yuta as Garcia lands on a stalling suplex on Cassidy. See Claudio and Kyle go at it in the ring as Garcia and Yuta get caught by the Orange Cassidy to keep him in the corner, while Yuta sends Strong onto a chair with a suplex. Cassidy only gets sent to the outside of the cage, trapping him between the cage as the ring as Claudio hits a power driver on Darby. Darby to bring us to another ad break. Full ad break on HBO Max. Back from the break, the Death Riders are firmly in control as Claudio sends Cassidy to the mat before the countdown brings Jon Moxley. Mox comes prepared as he heads to the cage, pulling out a fork as he joins the beatdown, focusing on Darby. He leaves the cage for a barbed wire bat and other weapons as the countdown ends as we wait our final participant for the baby faces. Cue Eddie Kingston asking what's a baby face. Mox digs the face of Kyle O'Reilly as Renee Paquette reveals that the Don Callis family have been outed as he sends taking out Mark Briscoe, meaning that the Death Riders are at 5 on a 4 advantage. They grab a bucket, dumping glass for a pile driver on Cassidy as we go to an ad break. Full ad break on HBO Max. Back from break, we see Darby Allin climb to the side of the cage before leaping from the top top for a coffin drop, sending the Death Riders to the mat as the countdown reveals Pac as our final participant. He makes his way through the crowd before entering the cage. Blood and Guts, the match, if you will, is now officially underway. Pac charges at a bloody Kyle O'Reilly in the corner before catching Cassidy, who tries to fight back only to take a record by Pac. Mox lays out Darby on the cadavers, and the beatdown continues as we see Pac run to the ropes for a big lariat on Allin. We see Mike Briscoe making his way down to the ramp with a toolbox and bolt cutters, negating the stealing of the key by Yuta to break away into the cage. He goes back on the attack until Mox intervenes, only for Darby to stop him as Yuta grabs Briscoe for a fight on the outside. The two boxes open as Cassidy uses a wrench, and Strong goes after Mox with a chain. Cassidy goes after Mox with the wrench now, but Mox turns around as we see Kyle jabbing at Garcia with a barbed wire bat. Kyle is also busted open by this point as we see Briscoe pulling up a table around the circle on the outside. He sets the table up looking at a cage before Garcia rushes to choke him out. The turnbuckle pad only to take a suplex to the floor by Briscoe. He sets up Garcia on the table as Yuta has rolled off and Briscoe climbs to the top rope of the cage. Only for Daniel to also roll off the turnbuckle. Garcia blindsided by Strong and gets cross the arm breaker locked in and strapped. We see Yuta has joined Briscoe. True straight strikes before back and forth until Yuta gets knocked away, and we see Briscoe go on down to a rope as Carabiner calling for a chair. Kyle helps to set up the chairs for Mike to bring back the roof. With one falling to the ring below us, we end up with a chair duel between Briscoe and Yuta, for Briscoe knocks Wheeler down. Yuta blocks a driller for a low blow, but Briscoe stops himself from falling off the roof, only to take a chair hit by Yuta as we go to a full ad break. We come for an break as Yuta continues to fight Briscoe off the cage. He's looking for a driller of his own, but Mark counters out to land one instead, sending Yuta's head onto the roof of the cage. Back in the ring, Darby isn't fighting back with Claudio with a hammer until Mox comes in with a fork to break things up. Roderick makes the save as outside we see Briscoe has to come down to the floor, only to be taken out by Pac. Darby comes out to go after Pac, sending him into the barricade before pulling off his belt, only to grab the Gabe Kid to blindside him with a stun gun. He goes after Darby up the ramp as back in the ring, Cassidy tries to break out of a choke by putting his hands on his pockets before running to the ropes, but Claudio grabs him, allowing Mox to use a staple gun to orange his hands into his pockets. Over on the stage, we see Pac climb over the entrance tunnel using the belt to pull Darby up on his throat. A pair of tables are beside the tunnel, and as Gabe grabs a couple of bottles of lighter fluid on them before setting tables ablaze. Just as Pac hoists Darby up to launch him in his own down his launch him through those falling flaming tables. Back in the ring, we see Mox showing Strong the damage done, hoping for a surrender as Gabe is pulled away by AEW security. Mox goes to the other side, wrapping a steel chain around Kyle's mouth and throat while clenching in a bulldog choke, but O'Reilly flips him off, refusing to surrender. Kyle intervenes, setting up a chair around Kyle's neck, but Cassidy kips up. Strong rushes in with a knee strike as we see Pac on Briscoe go at it just outside the cage as Garcia is sent face first onto the table in the corner. He sends Yuta into another table and through it when it doesn't break first time as Cassidy sets up for another punch only to be cuffed by Castagnoli. Strong distracts the ref to Claudio and long enough for the Orange to counter an uppercut into an orange punch. Mox goes for another choke on Cassidy, but is pulled away by O'Reilly into an ankle lock. He pulls Mox into another ring away from any help as the other Death Riders are exposed. Mox counters out of the ankle lock for a chokehold, but O'Reilly counters that for an arm breaker before transitioning to another ankle lock. He hooks in a grapevine and Mox has nowhere to go but has no choice but to tap out. It's all over for the ref as the ref calls for the bell. Wins via submission. Darby on Mark Briscoe, Orange Cassidy, Roderick Strong, and Kyle O'Reilly. The good guys, aside from Darby, who is still being attended to get to celebrate their win and survival, Blood and Guts, and Dynamite comes to a close. Good show tonight. Very good show tonight. Very good show tonight. It was worth watching. Blood and Guts. Really worth watching. So take that, WWE. Take that. Okay, now I got that covered. Now I know it's time for something I like to do. It's time for sorry, I'm about that noise. It's time. Yep, it's time for It's time for Justin's time. We saw the wrestling history and all that stuff in some sports. All you hear that tune is a thing from Back to the Future starring Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd celebrated its 40th anniversary on July 3rd, 2025, because the movie was released July 3rd, 1985. So let's get down to business. Tonight's show. I mean, wrestling history, birthdays. Let's go back yesterday. November the 11th. Oh, I'm going to try and get this thing unload. Oh, it's okay. Never mind that. No noise, alright. November the 11th. Okay, yesterday was a happy scene. 62nd birthday to badass Billy Gunn, Mr. Ass Billy Gunn. Mike Van Hammer turns 66 yesterday. Heavy Metal Van Hammer. Leo Rush turned 31 yesterday. And LA Knight, Dummy, yeah. Wait, LA Knight. Some of you recognize as from TNA is Eli Drake. He turns 43 yesterday. Crystal Marshall. Crystal Marshall turns 42 yesterday. Yeah, Bobby Lashley's ex-wife. She was part of Tough Enough. She part of Divas Contestant Church. Okay. What else? Birthdays. WCW Pro, WCW Pro Worldwide. Cole beats Bobby Starr after Cole Clutch Slam. Bubba Rogers wrestles Hacksaw Jim Duggan to a double countout. See WCW Pro. This was November 11th, 1995. Oh, a little NFL on Monday Night Football on ABC. The Denver Broncos beat the San Francisco 49ers 17-16. Around WCW Pro, November 11, 1995, the Blue Star Blazers defeated Big Train Bart. Ric Flair defeats with Ric Flair with Brian Pillman defeats Burt Sawyer but via submission. Scott Norton defeated Chuck Williams after reverse shoulder breaker. Mr. Masayo and Ken Sasaki defeat the Southern Posse when Sasaki makes Rick Storm submit via stranglehold beta. Marshall Sean beats Eddie Jackie via submission to the STF. Let's see on WWF Superstars, leading up to the Survivor Series. Okay, on WWF Superstars, Owen Hart defeated Angel Garrett Jobber, Radford, with Skip Insane defeated Barry Horowitz. IZM DES, some of you know, is Kane. Glenn Jacobs, Mayor of Tennessee, defeated Dave Dalton. The Smoking Gun, Spark Gun, and Billy Gunn defeated Razor Ramon. And 1-2-3 Kid by DQ to retain the WWE Tag Team Championship. And let's see, what else? On WCW Saturday Night. WCW Saturday night. Yeah, Disco Inferno defeated Chris Canyon. Hold on a second. Chris Canyon defeated Disco Inferno. I mean, Eddie Guerrero defeated Bobby Starr. Sergeant Craig Pittman defeated Ron Thompson. Steve Armstrong overcame Big Bob Rogers, showing those Big Bossman got arrested soul by reverse decision DQ. Marcus Alexander, Bagwell, and Scotty Riggs. American males overturned Burial Brothers. Dean Linko defeated Todd Morton, and Anderson bested Kawazawa. And on Sunday night, on Friday, Heat. Matt Striker defeated Tajiri. Eugene defeated Colt Cabana. Karen White and Nick Nemeth defeated Heartthrobs. Stinsky and Tyson Tucker defeated Val Venus and Viscera. And on Friday Night SmackDown, which was Eddie's last, yeah, Survivor Series Team SmackDown qualifying match. Rey Mysterio defeated Bob Orton, Randy Orton, Randy Orton. Bob Orton joined BDQ. Team Survivor Series Team SmackDown qualifying match. Lashley defeated Atlanta Jordan. Survivor Series Team SmackDown qualifying match. Eddie Guerrero defeated Mr. Kennedy by DQ. Eddie's last match. Singles match. Pero Tito defeated Todd Stone. Survivor Series Team SmackDown qualifying match. John Bradshaw Layfield with Julian Hall defeated Chris Benoit. Non-title street fight. Batista versus Edge ended no contest. Yeah, it was all set up. Raw invaded. All the talk about Edge leaving Raw for SmackDown was all BS. It was all set up and was led up to attack. Now let's see. Now pop culture movies. A movie called Kiss Kiss Bang Bang starring Val Kilmer and Robert Downey Jr. was released in theaters. What else? Zathura, starring Josh Hutcherson, was released, and Kirsten Stewart, all starring Tim Robbins, was in that movie, director by Jon Favreau. And a movie called Derail, starring Clive Owen, Jennifer Aniston, Vincent Cassel, and rapper Exhibit, was released in theaters. 2005. Now let's see. Now let's go to next day. Today is November the 12th. It's almost 11:59. Wow. Wait, NXT. Wait, I forgot 11 to 11 to, no, 11 to 12. Well, but it's wow, 12 a.m. Okay, 11, November 11th. NXT. November the 10th. Yeah, November the 11th. NXT. November the 10th. NXT. 11th NXT. I mean TNA. I mean. Okay, NXT on Impact Wrestling. Impact Wrestling. Gail Kim defeated Madison Rain in TNA World Heavyweight Title Series Knockouts match. Eli Drake defeated Jesse Goddard in the TNA World Heavyweight Title Series Group of Four match. Matt Hardy defeated Eddie Edwards in the TNA World Heavyweight Title Series Group Tag Team match. Specials match, DGJZ defeated Mandrews in the TNA World Heavyweight Title Series match Group X Division match. Micah defeated Crimson in TNA World Heavyweight Title Series Group feature match. And EC3 with Tyrus defeated Mr. Anderson in TNA World Heavyweight Title Series Group of Champions match. Okay, on NXT, same day, November 11th, 2015, six-man tag team match. Bayley and the Hype Brothers defeated Alexa Bliss and Blake Murphy, and Nia Jax defeated Deonna Purrazzo. Okay, November the 12th now, yesterday, November the 12th, now it's 12:01 in the morning, midnight. Okay, yesterday was a happy 71st birthday of Ron Shear, who was a WrestleMania um, timekeeper for the match between Bret Hart and Yokozuna. WrestleMania 10. Celebrity, yeah. And Mills Lane. Referee Mills Lane, Judge Mills Lane, he would have been 8. He would have been 89 yesterday, Mills Lane. The man said, "Now let's get it on." So Source was born in 1937, but he's born in 1936. Glenn Gilberry, better known as some of you fans know as some of you fans may know as Disco Inferno. He turns 57. He turns 57. He turned 57 yesterday. Trent Esther turned 45 yesterday. He turned 40. He went 45 yesterday. He died on June 18, 2010. Died of a drug overdose and heart attack. Philadelphia. Yeah, he's born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. His real name is Michael Verdi. Frank Tunney. I wonder if he's related. Yeah, Frank Tunney. I wonder if he's related to Jack Tunney. Frank Tunney. Yeah, he was Jack Tunney. He was yeah, Frank, yeah, Jack Tunney, yeah, Jack Tunney, yeah, Frank Tunney was Jack Tunney's uncle. Yeah, he was a wrestling promoter in Canada. He was born on November 12th, 1912. He died. He would have been 113 yesterday. Now let's go to yesterday's WCW main event. Paul Orndorff defeated Dave Sullivan after Power Driver. A little recap there. Yeah, and let's see now, 2005. On Velocity. Took place in Cinco Fieldhouse and Legion of Doom, Heidenreich and Roar and defeated Stunzio Vito, Hardcore Holly, defeated Simon Dean, Kid Cash defeated Sky 2 Hiding. Ryan Kedger and Paul London defeated Paul Burcher and Reedham Regal. And on TNA, I was for Genesis. Impact Wrestling Saturday. Singles match, Samoa Joe defeated Austin Aries. Singles match, Kip James defeated Lex Lovett. Non-titles match, Clash versus Canadian Destroyer, P. Williams, Scott D. Moore defeated AJ Styles. Six-man tag team match, America's Most Wanted, Chris Harrison, James Storms defeated Jeff Jarrett. America's Most Wanted and Jeff Jarrett defeated Chris Sabin and Jeff Hardy and Lance Hoyt. It's hours for TNA January 2005. In 2005 on Friday Night SmackDown, okay, on Friday Night SmackDown, hyping up the 2015 Survivor Series, Braun Strowman, Bray Wyatt, Braun Strowman with Bray Wyatt, Eric Rowan, and Luke Harper defeated Fandango by submission. Neville defeated King Barry in the WWE World Heavyweight Title Tournament first round match. Kalisto defeated Ryback in the WWE Heavyweight Title Tournament first round match. Now Alberto Del Rio with Zeb Cole defeated Stardust in the WWE World Heavyweight Title Tournament first round match. The Usos, Jimmy and Jay, defeated Wyatt family, Eric Rowan and Luke Harper with Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt by DQ. Bray Wyatt challenged the Brother Instructions at Survivor Series 2015. And that's it. That's it. But that'll do for my everything and talking the longest. That was my yeah, everything covered my review and all the pop culture and everything. And so I hope you have a good night. Have a good morning. It's 12:11. Get me some sleep. It's a late chair in shower. I would say like dress up a chair that can sing like Larry. She dance like James Brown. Like to get in the hot tub. Gonna be sweat. Gonna be dry. Gonna be wet. Gonna sweat. Referring to Eddie Murphy doing the pressure on James Brown on Saturday Night Live back in the 80s. I grew up in the 80s, grew up in the 90s, but I saw reruns of old school Saturday Night Live when I was little. So I hope I have a good morning. I'm out here. Peace.